What happened to Wade? Why aren't you with Wade?
Wade! I want Wade! Why aren't you with Wade?
Man, oh man, it really does seem that their MCU did us dirty. Now everyone's got a cinematic universe, and since Marvel had a lot of success with its Disney Plus shows, Paramount decided to go in the same direction with its Sonic Cinematic Universe. So now, we have Knuckles, and much like some of its Disney Plus counterparts, it's straight up bad. This is probably the worst Sonic thing I've ever seen in my life.
What?
I understand that some people are gonna mad dog me for saying that. They'll probably swarm me with references to things like Sonic Boom or the most tired of Sonic 06 jokes. Some will tell me I need to watch more shows, and some might say I need to touch grass. Look, I understand that there are worse shows out there, debatably ones even in the Sonic franchise. However, even in the shit Sonic shows, you get what you're there for. The Sonic characters. Even in shows where OCs exist, they tend to play second fiddle to the game characters. I want to make it clear that I don't hate the idea of humans in the Sonic universe. My third favorite character in the whole franchise is a human, and I'm an adventure guy. There's humans galore in that series. I think it's safe to say I'm pro-human. So the issue comes when someone decides that their human OCs really have to steal the spotlight from the characters that I actually came the fuck here for. Especially when their shenanigans consist of unfunny Disney Channel shit. The first two Sonic movies are by no means my idealized take on the franchise, not by a long shot. But, despite their flaws, they understand that the Sonic characters are what we are here for. The Sonic stuff comes first. That didn't happen with this show. In fact, it felt more like someone at Paramount really fell in love with the Wade character and wanted to make a show about him, but remembered, oh shit, this is attached to Sonic the Hedgehog. I guess we gotta shove these guys in there. So, let's talk about Wade. Your enjoyment of this show is going to really hinge on whether or not you like this guy. If you didn't like him in the first two films, then I strongly suggest that you steer far the fuck away from this show. Because I promise you, you are going to get a lot of this guy. And I mean a lot. I can't say after watching Sonic 1 and 2 that I was left wanting to see more of Wade. That's not to say that I hate the guy or anything, I just felt like I got everything I needed out of his character. Wade is a schlubby idiot who means well. I get it. He's just simply not funny to me. A lot of that just simply has to do with the fact that Wade's style of humor consists of things that I've seen a million times over from other shows and movies. So unless you really like those kind of jokes, you're not gonna have a good time. For example, imagine a scenario where one character has to rescue another character in a montage. Now, your first instinct as a comedy genius is probably to use a licensed song of some kind. But you're probably asking yourself, what song should I use? Well, if your answer is the following, Holding Out for a Hero, then congratulations, you just might be a professional funny man. Just like these guys.
Nigga, fuck you!
He's gotta be strong and he's gotta be fast and he's gotta be fresh from the fight. He's gotta be strong and he's gotta be fast and he's gotta be fresh from the fight.
have a hit. Yes, I agree. Look, even our president is very hip.
Oh yeah, Mr. Funny Bones, that didn't do it for you? Well, how about an E.T. Moon reference? No one's done that before.
What a hoot! Only you knew!
Let your life pass you by.
Ouch.
I'm dying. Not because of the turds. Can I have a turd?
Just rest. I'm gonna get you to a vet.
I needed to phone home. And that's exactly what I would do as soon as I was done playing with my new sex robot.
I'm free!
Quick! Use your magic powers to lift us.
I don't have any magic powers.
Bonner.
Hey! This is like that one movie with the extraterrestrial in it who makes friends with those kids, and Grandma always cries at the end.
I get you, my Winnie!
Kind of an issue when the co-lead of a comedy show isn't very funny, but maybe the story and other characters can carry the show. The plot to Knuckles feels like Wade saw Knuckles during the events of Sonic 2 and thought to himself, gee, that Knuckles guy is really cool. Then he proceeded to make a self-insert fanfic about Knuckles and him going on adventures together. Then, at some point, it devolves into a series about his personal drama and family issues, with Knuckles just being there in the background. Right up to the point where the ghost of an ancient alien civilization of warriors is invested in his daddy issues and bowling tournament. It even gives him spiritual advice that helps him against his rival that used to be his best friend. Hilariously enough, Chris Chan's ghost was actually his ancestors and not Sonichu's, so somehow Chris Chan's fanfic is more believable in that regard. How about that? I get what the story wants to do conceptually. Knuckles is a fish out of water character. Understood. And he needs to learn from somebody who's more on the laid back side. Cool. But there are other characters that could fill that role about as well as Wade does, all of whom are closer to Knuckles than Wade is. But the gods have decided that Wade's the guy. I don't like it, but fine, so be it. Wade has to be involved in this somehow. I can live with that. But what I cannot live with, or rather what I cannot understand, is why the Sonic stuff had to take a back seat this time. Call me a joyless fanboy if you must.
What a f***ing loser.
But is it really that unreasonable for a Sonic fan to want the Sonic content to take priority in a Sonic show?
Yes, it is.
I understand that this is an adaptation, so changes will be made, but it is undeniably true that people are watching this because it's attached to Sonic the Hedgehog. The Sonic stuff is clearly the fucking draw here, otherwise it would just be another generic family comedy. A common defense to criticisms like this will be, well, the budget wasn't there. Adding in a bunch of Sonic characters from the games would just be too much. We can't do Rouge. It would be cool to see Rouge and other game characters like Rouge, but that would take away from the original stuff that this show is trying to do. To which I say fine, but the original stuff better be good. Cause if it isn't, then it's only gonna highlight the fact that the game content should have been there in the first place. So, with all of that groundwork set up, how do you think I feel about the four main villains of the Knuckles show?
You stink! Especially that guy.
Brother, this guy stinks!
Maybe there was a chance that I could like Diet Team Rocket, as they are the best of the four, but they don't really get to do much save for 2 fight scenes. Hell, after the first, they just dip out from the show. They don't come back till about episode 5, and then they just die after a fight. See, what I was promised was a show about Knuckles and Wade going on the run from these two idiots. Did I get that? Not really. How can you expect these guys to be as memorable as Agent Stone when you don't even give them the proper screen time to do their jobs as villains? The worst I can say about Diet Team Rocket is that they're just kinda mid. They aren't offensively bad. I don't see them leaving an impression on people. If you haven't forgotten them by now, you're definitely gonna forget about them by Sonic 3. They got 2 good fight scenes. That's all I got for them. They aren't touching Scratch and Grounder, I can tell you that much. But what about the buyer, Dr. D. Liquor? For all the shitting I did on Tweedleman and Tweedlewoman, at the very least I can say they got to interact and form some kind of dynamic with our respective heroes. They got to interact with our boys multiple times. That did not happen with our main villain. Although even calling him the main villain kind of feels like an inaccurate title for the guy, because I mean, he doesn't really have any real beef with Knuckles or a history with him. Knuckles has no idea who the fuck this guy is supposed to be. He's just some guy who worked with Robotnik back in the day, and that's it. That's all you get. This dude is just Robotnik without the personality. He certainly has the same schemes as Robotnik. He steals the hairs from Sonic characters to power his weapons. Does that sound like anybody to you? It definitely should. It's only made worse by the fact that the final fight of the show is just the same fight from the first movie, but worse. But they're in a different location, and Knuckles is using the flames of disaster. I don't give a shit. It's the same. It's the same thing. He even powers up the same way. And it just keeps getting worse. This is our first and only interaction between our main hero and main villain in the entire show. The goddamn finale. So, now do you understand why I think Rouge should have been the main antagonist here? You can even still keep Wade. Just have Rouge kick Knuckles' ass in the beginning of the show and steal the Master Emerald. The ass kicking makes Knuckles go on a spiritual journey for guidance. Patrick appears as a ghost and tells Knuckles he needs to chill the fuck out. And to help him do that, he suggests going to Wade Whipple. Upon seeing Knuckles arrive, Wade figures that Knuckles can teach him how to become a warrior. So the deal becomes, Wade will teach Knuckles how to be chill, and in turn, Knuckles will teach Wade the way of the warrior. The two go off on their journey to find Rouge and the Master Emerald. Along the way, Team Rocket is hot on their trail, looking to weaponize Knuckles' energy. Team Rocket seems to be working for a mysterious buyer for some reason. Later on, it's revealed that Team Rocket are actually a pair of rogue gun agents. Turns out the buyer was Rouge the whole time, double-crossing everybody. The final fight has Knuckles and Rouge going at it one more time. But this time, Knuckles has an edge. His newly acquired friendship with Wade Whipple. Through his interactions with Wade, he's able to fight with a more cool head. Plus, he's got an extra guy watching his back. No longer can Rouge seemingly get a rise out of him. And thus, he wins the day and takes the Emerald back. Team Rocket is either dead or defeated and taken into custody, I don't really care which. The actual villain, Rouge, has escaped. She's gone. Somewhere she's plotting to steal that emerald again, until she gets into contact with a very familiar face. Out of the shadows comes Agent Stone, and the two plot together for Sonic 3.
Baby, that's the end.
Now, does that not sound at least a little bit better? Doesn't that sound more like a Knuckles show to you? Don't even have to waste too much time introducing Rouge in Sonic 3, she's already been established. Of course, there are some speculating that she might not even be in the movie, to which I say that's a huge missed opportunity. Why the fuck would you cut her out? I know Shadow's the real star of the show, trust me, I'm not gonna fight people on that. Shadow's my favorite character. But I'm not gonna pretend that Rouge didn't debut in SA2 as well as Shadow. Rouge deserves to be here. She's only been a mainstay for the past 20 fucking years. Paramount's seemingly pretty enthusiastic about this Sonic cinematic universe, so I'm pretty sure it's not unreasonable to assume that they're gonna be using more characters and story arcs from the games in the future. So why fumble the ball this bad? It's almost as bad as the MCU fumbling the ball with Enchantress. We have 4 Thor movies. One of them has the word love in the title, and at no point did anybody at Marvel or Disney decide that the blonde magical yandere should be the main villain in the movie with love in the title. How the fuck do you mess up that bad? But hey, we got Billy Butcher as her henchman. The less I say about the MCU, the better. To put things in perspective, remember Super Bowl 49? Yeah, the Seahawks one. It's like doing that. It's like passing the ball when you have a very reliable running back that could easily just run through the line and make a touchdown, but you just decide, nah, I'm just gonna pass it. It's like that. Cost you the game too. And now people will forever look at that event as to what not to do in that situation. The same thing that people are doing to the MCU now at this point in time. I don't want that to happen to the Sonic movies, but that's not my call. If they want to become a half-baked MCU clone and not use the things that make Sonic special as a strength, that's their call. I'm just gonna stop supporting this part of the franchise, and I'll just stick with the Sonic stuff that's worth my time. I'd rather things not be that way, but I'm preparing for it if that's the case. I haven't even talked about the worst part of the show. This show has a lot of fat that needs to be trimmed. I know some people really liked the rock opera bit, but it really didn't go above wacky Nick sitcom tier hijinks for me. Iblis and Pachacamac's inclusion only served to confound me more than anything. Iblis because he's got nothing to do with the echidnas, and Pachacamac's role is weird as a whole. He's more of a plot device than an actual character, working as a dumbed down version of Tikal. I suppose I'm not gonna lose any sleep over the absence of my boy Chaos. He's spared from this garbage. The biggest, unambiguous piece of fat, however, is Wade's family drama.
Stop being so melodramatic.
I'm sorry to all the Whipple fans out there, but I could not give any shits about Wade's family, no matter how much the show tried to shove them in my face. In fact, I dare say some scenes with them made me want to drop the show entirely. Wade's mom is fine. Just a nice old Jewish lady. Don't care about her too much, but she's harmless. Wade's dad in the bowling tournament is a goddamn waste of time. I do not care that they got the Saw guy to play him. This plotline just takes away from the story that should involve the goddamn main character. The moment Pistol Pete opened his mouth, I knew where the story was gonna go. But, despite everything, despite the stupid tournament, shitty villains,
Fuck you!
lack of focus on the main character, despite everything I have complained and whined about, all of this pales in comparison to Wade's sister. Wanda might be the worst Sonic character ever made. Worse than Chris Thorndike, worse than Infinite, worse than that big red fuck and his loser co-workers, worse than any character from any show, any comic, worse than your OC, worse than my OC. I don't care who you bring up, she's the worst.
No, really, you're the worst.
Remember what I said about someone at Paramount really liking Wade? Well, I guess that person loved Wade so much that they wanted 2 Wades, except one's a girl. So yeah, like the South Park thing.
Put a ticket in, make her name it gay!
She's got 2 jokes. She's from the FBI and she beefs with Wade. That's it. If you don't find this to be a knee-slapping gag, you're in for a very rough time. This character will be a litmus test for whether or not you can finish this show. I think it's here where the dollar store Nickelodeon sitcom humor is at its most concentrated. She's this exaggerated woman child, and it gets so absurd that I forget that this is meant to be a Sonic show because of her presence. I understand that Sonic the Hedgehog is a franchise for all ages, but somehow Prime and the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog feel less goo goo gaga than this show. I eventually get to the family dinner scene and she stabs her brother with a fork mid-argument, and then I start to wonder, who the fuck is this for? Who honestly is having a good time watching this? I need to know. The only joke I laughed at in the entirety of this 6 episodes was Wade being cool with Jesse shooting Wanda in the head with a laser gun. If Jesse just straight up killed Wanda, that would have genuinely gotten a laugh out of me. If there is any takeaway that I hope to God that Sega and Paramount have walked away with, is that the Wanda character will never be allowed to see the light of day ever again. Every decision regarding the Wanda character was indeed the wrong one. So I repeat, for the final time, don't do that again. This show was a slog, but I know it has its defenders. Like I said earlier, people will commonly defend this show from criticism by referencing games like Sonic 06, and I suppose this is where I'm gonna expose myself a little. If you put a gun to my head and told me I had to watch Knuckles or play Sonic 06 again, I'd still pick Sonic 06. Sure, it's a mess, and everyone and their mother will not let you forget that fact. But Sonic 06 is still closer to what I want in a Sonic product, despite the game being botched. It features a conclusive character arc for my all-time favorite video game character, and introduces fan favorites that are beloved to this day, despite the game's infamy. For example, Silver the Hedgehog has become a mainstay in the Sonic franchise, even appearing in more modern titles like Forces and Generations. And he's made multiple appearances in both the IDW comics and the Archie comics. My boy Mephiles is asked by fans to return for a new game all the time, and he's even featured in mobile games and merch every now and again. He even has his own action figure and plush toy. Both of them have tons of fan art and fan animations that are still being made to this day, so it's clear that these characters have a lot of love. Keep in mind, Sonic 06 was not only a shitty game, but it came out 18 years ago. I have my doubts that 18 years from now, the characters exclusive to this show are gonna have the same love that Mephiles and Silver still get. Though I'll admit, I have my biases. See, I'm a shonen Sonic boy. I love my rock music, more action-centric tones, and stories that have a lot of heart in them. They don't always have to have that darker edge to them, but a certain cool factor must be present. A lot of Sonic games from the 2000s have what I look for in that regard, so I'll admit that colors my taste into what I look for. It's also what gravitated me towards the kind of fan content that got popular on Newgrounds back in the day, and you can even see that DNA translated into some of the animations that I've done. I bring all this up to say that I understand that the movies are not my ideal Sonic, and they aren't trying to be. Despite that, Sonic 1 and 2 still get the job done. I still like them enough as movies with all their flaws in mind, because at the end of the day, they're still about the Sonic characters. If you enjoyed Knuckles, that's fine, more power to you. Glad you got something out of it that I didn't, but I'm just airing out my grievances. Here's to hoping my boy Shadow gets the debut he deserves come the premiere of Sonic 3. Also, as one last note before I end the video, can we please, for the love of God, add actual Sonic music for Sonic 3's soundtrack? Why people have been settling on this generic ass OST for the past 2 movies, I have no idea, but if there is one thing the Sonic games are known for, it's the killer soundtracks. Sonic Adventure 2's soundtrack in particular being known as one of the best video game OSTs of all time. Please, take advantage of that. Like Sonic X did, at least in the Japanese version. Jesus Christ. Anyway, that's all I got for you.
Get out!
Liquor! American!